This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, people are coming in, but we'll go slow. If you rise, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, afternoon. Now, so whether on the agenda we've asked your commission would like to chat with us for a little while. Bethany's coming in. I know Amy is not making it. I don't need to rush you if you'd rather us. You want to go first?
Yeah, for a little bit. She's on her way.
Okay. Yeah. So whenever you guys are ready, that'd be fine too.
You can ask her right now.
We can move on to some of the things that we want to discuss.
Wow.
So Bethany, we can move on to another discussion points, or whenever you're ready, you just let us know. We can talk about it.
Okay, if you could start.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll move into the discussions, the updated policies. Now, at the last meeting, Laura handed out a couple of draft policies. I've had a chance to review them, and I have no objections. So you have the Model Code of Ethics for Local Governments, and I have no objection to that. And I would suggest that we can put this on the regular action item for our regular meeting in May, but we're happy to discuss this now and here if you wish.
So I have no objections for either of the things that you brought. The only thing have we looked at and maybe you were provided a copy of it, the town of Jays, because that was just updated like a year ago.
That's the
and it has all of the new policies in it that they paid the company like $5,000 to do.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I have no objections what she had, but they had a company do it and it's already been through the legal process and everything. So I didn't know if we wanted to take a look at that first to make sure that it kind of meets the same guidelines as what they basically just paid a company to have done last year.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the town of Jays or the town of Keens.
We just finished ours like 2 months ago. We're
So
actually
they're both
within the
new.
past,
Okay,
actually about 2
so,
months.
and I don't know whether they also include what is covered under this one as well. I think that's what we're talking about here.
They're less, there's less information in them, and that's why I got this one from the comptroller website. But, certainly, I'm sure that they have similar, I have both of them from you. It just was more of a snapshot, whereas this is more informative and has a lot more information on it.
Okay.
But certainly, I can leave these for you guys to look through and you can compare them and then.
That's fine. I'm just thinking, are we, it's like kind of, are we doing this a la carte? Or, which parts of the employee handbook that we should consider adopting just sort of wholesale because it's newer. Instead of us having 4 different, look at our land use code, right? Our land use code has a separate subdivision regulation that was adopted 4 or 5 years before. So there isn't really you have to go get both. If you think your land use code will help you with regard to subdivisions, the answer is it won't. You have to go look at something. Then you have to sit there and discuss whether, the term used in the subdivision regulation matches the one in the land use code. You get into all that sort of hair splitting nonsense. So I just think that what Darren's pointing out is that if we're going to move and do a wholesale review of our employee handbook, it may be that who cares? We have a separate model code of ethics. I just want to avoid any of that kind of confusion in the future, which law we're talking about. So we would omit it from the handbook.
It's not in the handbook.
No?
No.
Well, there we go. There, thank you. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So the model code is not, of ethics is not in that handbook.
No,
Okay,
no,
fair.
it's not in our handbook.
Oh, it's not in ours,
Their
but it's in their handbook.
Yep.
Okay,
So,
in any case. And what are the reasons why you think we should go for something a little bit more comprehensive or long, detailed? Do you have any objections? What was done in here? You said that was kind of
it's more just general,
general stuff.
yeah. And, we have a conflict of interest part, but not of ethics.
Okay,
And there is an entire, we probably have a poster in there, the general municipal law code of ethics for town employees that would be something similar to that. It's probably in any town
mhm,
office that's referenced.
okay.
But
Not just, that's, I think
this
that's,
whole thing needs to be gone through.
Yep.
They spent $5,000 to have their
Oh, how
handbook.
much King was, Jay's was around that.
No, we didn't spend that much.
yeah,
Probably because it was already done from Jay and they copy and pasted.
Ours was just being updated from what we
Okay.
went through the auditors. So ours was just everything that was updated that the auditor had us update. That's
Okay.
what ours was enough.
These are really beautiful handbooks. I think that it would be,
Ours, the auditor went through piece by piece and updated everything.
So basically, we could almost take them, unless you had objections, and change our benefit and employee section and kind of,
okay.
Just do it.
and everything else is kind of already there and we'd have a new handbook.
right, is it proprietary? Would we need any sign off from them since it's their handbook?
I'm sorry.
Would we need any, saying that we could take their information and utilize it as our
No,
own? Would we need,
no,
a
no.
disclaimer or anything like
Well,
that?
it wouldn't be from the town of Keene or Jay, it would be from the consultants who drafted this.
We talked to the consulting company.
Right, but we would have to hire them to create a Wilmington one, right? We can't just copy paste their intellectual property, right?
You can change the wording a little bit, and then you're not copying and pasting.
What this was a public document on a New York State. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it
that
would be
be
an
great
issue.
if we
Exactly.
if we could do that without any.
I know when it was updated last 10 or 12 years ago, that's what we did, is take other towns and
Yeah.
kind of went through it, but 90% of it is done. The only thing that we would really have to do is change the benefit section.
I think everybody uses the same company that runs them. So
Right.
Just call them and tell them what we're looking for.
Tim, you have anything?
So is this ethical code, is it more strict than the town of Jay's?
I think there's more references to it. Here, let me just,
This is the town of Jay, that's the town of Keene.
thank you.
I don't know if it makes a difference on which one. They were done by the same company, so probably the same.
Yeah, but just-
There are little minuscule differences between different sections and things, but I think overall, I gotta find it. Hang on, everything's backwards.
They're all coming from the state's model code, right? So
I don't know where they're coming from.
Well,
comptroller website.
what larger places do is they have people assigned to try to keep up with the state. And the state has decided that they're going to amend its policy on X. And they have a certain sort of way in which they say this is required of all municipalities. And so they're supposed to do this regularly. And what the consultants get paid to do is basically keep up with what the state is up to and draft something so that the municipality now has something that complies with the state. And the state changes these things, every 2 months, something happens at the state. It's very hard for small towns to keep up with that stuff. So we just take a vague shot. So see how it goes.
Right, so this is for reference, this is the J, 2 pages versus
Yeah.
6. So this is 2021 and this is 2022.
Yeah.
And this is from the New York State Comptroller's website. So I'm not sure where they got their information from, but certainly if there's somebody who can do this, as all in one, I think it would benefit the town to not have everything
I mean,
piecemealed out.
I don't have a problem taking this, shoving it into the section of the employee handbook. It's all gonna be one handbook that we hand out anyway. Yes, it's long-winded and things like that, but,
Should we get a hold of that company and just say, hey, we basically want to model it after one of these two towns, but we want to change our benefit package and see what it is, and that way
Yep.
it's kind of
I'd
done and over with, and
be happy to call.
one more thing off the list.
But is there anything, HR consultants?
When it says relative, does that include in-laws?
I can argue yes and I can argue no. I mean, a relative is now a much more, large, relative is either blood relation or legal relation. So if you're blood relation, that's one thing. Legal relation just means you're related because the law says that there's a relationship between them.
Our policy on conflicts of interest says a relative is any person who is related by blood or marriage.
Yeah.
Or whose relationship with the employee is similar to that of persons who are related by blood or marriage. But that's just on that part of that.
So I mean, that's the classic, the in-laws, that's why it's called in-law. It's a related in-law.
It's hard to believe. It's not that hard to believe, but I'm surprised that we never adopted a code of ethics at any point. The 70s, 80s, 90s, or today.
Excuse me, we did.
Okay.
There's the one from the county. Yeah, you were here.
So I thought we didn't have
Somewhere
it
there's a
yet.
code of ethics book. It was the one that the county used, that's what we voted on.
Okay, so I think,
Well, I'm glad to have clarified that, because I thought that we were doing this because we didn't have one.
It's not in the handbook. I wasn't ever
No,
given
it
it.
was by itself. I don't think it ever was put in the handbook. I think it just got lost over the years.
I really don't remember.
yeah, I mean, what they tend to do now is, I ended up signing a form at the county saying, I have no conflicts, no business relations, da, 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 da. So I go through and I answer it and then I sign it and it goes into my personnel record. And then they hand me their code of ethics, which is separate from that. They do that routinely at other boards and things like that. If you join an organization now, everybody typically they will ask you about whether you have any conflicts of interest because, your cousin is, a supplier and things like that. So, we don't do that. We could, but it's hard enough to get done the regular things here. To sit there and have yet another thing that we're supposed to routinely give out for new members, new planning board members, new whatever. Everybody's supposed to sign off on their ethics. So we can have the form. I think to the extent that you don't know about it is because it's sort of
Been lost in the mist of time.
and it's just one of those things where Wilmington has other immediate things that they're trying to keep a hold of with the amount of people on the staff that we have. It's a bit of a challenge. But hell, let's make one and let's adopt the policy, say we're going to have one, and go forward with that. That's my suggestion.
Yes, I thought that Laura had looked for a code of ethics and couldn't find one, and that's why.
Well, it wasn't in the handbook, but I didn't
Okay.
know that there was a
The
separate.
center. It was the same one that they used at the county. I could find you the resolution, it'd probably take me a while,
No, it's
I think
because, but there was a resolution made up.
it all needs to be updated. We can just start fresh.
I do think that they are obviously very good at what they do. The handbooks are really well done and they're very, I love the bullet points. It flows nicely. Those are very nice documents. Quite a bit easier to read than ours, but there would be things that would need to be altered
Right.
for benefits, retirement and things like that that are specific to our town. So, but I mean, I'd be interested to find out their pricing model.
Well, I will find out. And then we'll say, ow, or whatever. Maybe let's work a deal.
I just don't want to get into the type of thing that we are with the STRs where we're doing a little bit here and a little bit there. It's like if we're going to do a new employee handbook, let's do the whole thing and be done with it, and we don't have to revisit it.
Completely agree. So, well, let me try to find out how much it costs. I'll come back to the board at the next meeting. We'll see when we can take it from there. I mean, if nobody seems to have any overly concerned about intellectual property and copyright, but they probably are, we'll just scan and convert it to a Word document and update things like that. But we'll find out. Okay, thank you, Laura. And also the other things, just before I go on, so we do have the use variances criterion test. What was it that I don't have an objection to this. How, were you going to hand this out to planning board members? What was the idea?
That should go to the people applying for the variance, the use, or the
Okay,
other.
yeah, so it helped them, so.
Area and use variances, it helps them write down why that they are
Yeah.
asking for these, and then the zoning and planning board can say whether or not they've met the test.
Okay.
So it would be, I think, beneficial for people on the planning and zoning board.
Yeah, so when somebody comes up with an application to request those things, they're given one of these. That's part of their application
Right.
to help the board out to see what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah. It is listed as a requirement, like they have to, on the application and in the code, it does say that they have to meet these things in order to obtain them or to ask for a variance. So it'd be nice to see it all together, that they've addressed it. But
Okay.
certainly, I mean, I think that the zoning and planning board should have an opinion on it, on the form. And
Okay.
Doug,
So you want me to email a copy out to everybody in the board and stuff and just generally ask them?
yeah, they
The
think it would be
comment.
beneficial, because they're the ones utilizing it. I just am prior utilizer.
Okay, sounds fine. Well, thank you. So we can, if you're ready to go, you can jump in front of the other things. Go ahead.
Sure. So we had our monthly meeting last month, and after you came and we met, we had some questions,
Okay,
mostly about starting our own entity.
right.
Sounded like we were being advised to do so if we wanted to continue fundraising. But we discussed it, and we're a bunch of volunteers who have families and careers, and
Right.
we're kind of strapped for time now. We can't imagine what it would be like to take that on and start our own entity, our own non-for-profit.
Mhm.
But by doing that, would that limit us, as not being able to fundraise for different programs? Like, we still want to assist with a summer program, assist with a ski program,
Sure.
but
So I mean, I met with them a month or two ago. And so what the situation is right now there's a bank account that says Youth Commission and it belongs to the town. And once it goes in, but all of the money, I'm guessing, I'm just to say I'm right about this, all that money was raised by these volunteers and it's in the town account now. And so there are rules against municipalities. Municipalities can take donations, but they can't fundraise. Municipalities have all these really difficult ways of trying to get money out of the account to pay a bill. So, for example, if somebody comes up with the Youth Commission and said, we really need to pay for this, we'll say, okay, give us a voucher. We'll have to claims audit it. It'll come up at the next monthly meeting. We'll approve it. We'll write the check, kind of idea. So it's really had been, I think, difficult for the volunteers to access that money that they know they raised and put in there, and it isn't town money specifically.
Just backing up, I think originally there was pool of money put in by the town. So,
Could be,
and then after that, it's all been money they've raised.
Yeah, okay, that could be, I'm just assuming for the sake of what we're talking about here, why it's difficult for the volunteers to get at that money. It's because they have to come in front and follow what everyone else who has to get paid by a municipality is supposed to do, which is submit claims, claim voucher, back it up, wait for us to meet on it, to review the vouchers once a month, have Nicole write the checks a day or two later, and me sit down and sign all the checks. It's just, it's designed to be a cumbersome process, so municipalities have control over this thing. So my suggestion was if we could spin it off, get them their own tax ID number, and then those funds would be held by them. They could access it whenever they wanted per their own resolutions. I also had talked about going to visit, the Lake Placid school system and seeing any way that they could team up with some other organization, but I didn't get much further than an initial discussion with that. So the other option for the town is to go back to what they used to have, which is have its own line item budget, youth commission, employee kind of deal, where we budget for it. We have somebody who's in charge of the youth center. We pay them a salary, they get their health insurance in the retirement system. And we budget for that each year. And then they can be sort of like an auxiliary, earning money on the side and making donations and things like that. Those are sort of the way. Right now, we're just stuck in the middle with a sort of an unworkable and unhappy way of doing it, because in order for us to, there's $13,000 in that account.
Most of it they have raised.
Yeah, that's fine. I haven't looked at all the bank statements, so I'm assuming that that's all theirs. And they can't get at it without first coming to us and going through that process that we have to go through every month. And I'm just trying to think of a way that we could make it easier for them to get at their money.
Well, there's a line item every year that we have labeled youth.
Yep.
So when they raised money, it went back into that account. That'd be a question that we'll have to discuss with Nicole on how that money has been distributed, because there's records of the money that the town puts in every year, every deposit that they gave us. I don't know what those figures are, but yes, the town puts money in a youth commission account every single year.
Yeah, they do, and it's towards the building, I think. Go
The
ahead.
money all comes in as donation versus fundraiser. Is there a difference there?
Apparently,
Or-
maybe the controller thinks that that's okay and fundraising isn't. I'm just repeating what I've heard from them.
Is that why they write donations sometimes on tickets,
Yes,
raffle tickets and
because-
stuff? And that way it doesn't fall under fundraising. it
They
falls
can
under
take
donations.
donations, but they can't take fundraising.
So it's
Because
still
it's all,
money
because
for it.
taxpayers' money is already on that line item.
So we could do a bake sale by donation,
By
and that
donation,
would be okay to put into the town account.
donations can be accepted, but fundraising cannot.
Fundraising can't, okay.
So then what we would, if we're going to continue this is absolutely a separate bank account from what we have. But this is outside of the other checking accounts and things like that. I think what the town does with its budget is it allocates a line item so that it pays for the youth center, it pays for the utilities, the buildings, and whatever kind of contract services to keep the building going, and they call it the youth center. I don't know if they pay for programs for
I
that.
changed it a few years ago, yeah, to what you're saying.
Yeah, they don't pay for programs for that.
Prior to this group becoming active, isn't that the fund that paid for the ski program, for example? Things like that, that line item. I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah.
I think
That
that's
was-
how it started
Yeah.
initially, was the ski program checking account, that when we stopped doing it 20 years ago, it went back to the town at that time.
Okay,
And that was money, didn't Roy get money like a grant every year that he kept putting in for that ski
He
program?
applied
Plus-
for
They were
it.
like
plus
that.
your bottles.
Yeah, and the bottles and stuff, yeah.
So like, we would love to do another summer program.
Okay,
And last summer, the town paid, they hired an employee to do the summer program. We would like to assist with that again this year, if there's funding for it. If the town would do that again. Last year, it was only 1 day a week. We had, and it was shortened from what we had requested, just because we couldn't find a staff member. Would that be something we could start working on now, or do you?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
what do you need from us?
We've
Get that
also talked, last year, you paid for one employee. But we've also talked about having two, just so that we're 2 adults deep with supervision for our children, just to protect
Safe sport.
safe sport type
Compliance.
thing, so.
all right, well, I mean, how do we, I'm deferring to people who have been through the discussions on these things before a little bit. I look at the budget and I look at where the money has been promised and that's the way it's set up. There are other ways of moving the resources to this stuff. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. I don't know how much money we're talking about personally. So I guess I would have to take a look and see what we tried to do last year, how we made it work last
So
year.
we could send you our proposal from last year, which would be
Sure.
about the same.
Yeah, I just need to, it's just looking at how they made it work last year.
Would you be doing just 1 day a week again, or you're gonna try to
We
expand
would
it?
like to do 2 days, which is what was approved last year by the board, but then again, with the staffing, the applicant could only give 1 day.
Do you have any applicants right now? that
We don't,
are
because
interested?
we weren't
Okay.
sure
Okay.
Where we're going.
if we could do it again.
Also wondering about the building. Are we gonna have a building? What's happening with the park and the building
What do you mean?
in the future?
The pavilion.
The pavilion, our youth center building. Is there any plans in the works to?
That's kind of stalled because between different board members' opinions, it hasn't really went anywhere.
It hasn't been discussed by this board, but I think this
Okay.
is the first time it's come up.
So there's
So
no,
there's been no discussion as far as I know with the current board. I think we all have our own thoughts about it, but we haven't discussed it as a group.
so there's no near future plan.
No, I don't know. No.
Just so we're kind of on the same page, so moving ahead, we can do donation-based activities, correct?
Sure,
In the youth center's name.
yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Other question, is there any plans for a town newsletter going out in the near future?
This is, to me, I'm looking at the one from June 2023. If I manage to, who writes it when somebody, I need to ask a lot of questions about how it gets done. I don't know. How it gets done. And so I get, things come up and I deal with things that are sort of in front of my face. And some of these things are not being attended to because okay, I'll look at it, it's great, but where do I start?
And you get busy with other things.
No, I just,
Would you happen to know about any newsletter or how that goes about, or is there?
Everybody that's involved in anything in Wilmington can submit letters to go in. If you look at one of the newsletters that are left from the last time it was done, you'll see the person that audited or wrote it for us, edited it, and I can't think of her name.
Did the
I can
layout,
see her.
you mean?
Urban,
Jean Christel.
Krista, yeah, Krista. She did it. Whether she's still willing to do it, I have no idea. Whether she's able to do it, I have no idea.
Okay.
But everybody just submits something, like the youth could submit something. All the people on the board, myself, Historical Society, the library. Yeah, the churches were in there. All you have to do is look at one. Pretty much tell.
that's fine, it just obviously, it was edited and put together by Virginia for years.
They didn't do a fall one. I don't know. You'd have to ask Roy whether they didn't do it because
Because Virginia doesn't want to do it anymore.
or she's not able.
Or not around.
You
or
know,
something
she
like
doesn't live here, and it was all done email wise, so.
that. So that's another question.
Okay.
I mean, maybe there's somebody in the community that would be interested, and maybe in the supervisor's report, we could put a feeler out.
Yeah, well,
Maybe somebody would volunteer.
my first request for a volunteer is item E, which is the Board of Assessment Review. Okay, we need a body to sit as a Board of Assessment Review, because that comes up at the end of May, and we're gonna be busy. So, to me, that's a priority of ours. So, yeah, I would, I don't have the skill to put together something like that. Obviously, someone did. Someone knew how to do it and was very kind enough to do it for years, because I've been receiving those for years. And if you know somebody who knows how to do
We
that,
just
then,
thought
yeah.
it might be nice to put stuff out there for the kids and.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. And I often look down and I see the June 2023 one, and I wonder, okay, what's that? How does that come about?
Yeah, we have a couple programs that ran last summer that we'd like to reinstate this year. One was a sporting club where just kids met,
Mhm.
picked a sport that they wanted to do, and we had a couple of adult supervisors. It was volunteer
Okay,
center.
I-
The field, and I've heard rumor that the field is gonna be turned into a dog park.
Is that true, Laura?
Oh, okay. No one knows about it, okay. Just wanted to make sure we weren't losing our field,
which field?
the ball field at
Oh,
the
no.
center.
This one up here? No, I haven't heard.
Okay, okay.
But I may be one of the last
They
people
kind
to
of
hear
use it
these
for a
things.
dog park now, don't they?
Yeah, you're right.
Walk through there.
Now, as far as the donations, like, it's always a gray area. So if you do a car wash organized by Bethany Crest to benefit the Wilmington Youth Commission, and then you donate that money back to the town of Wilmington, it's from the town, it's from the Youth Commission, but it's a donation from you. So there's always ways to get around it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's just, it's not, like, the money wouldn't be coming from the youth center, it would be coming from you as a donation, but you organized it for them.
So what we've been doing all along is fine then, if that's the case.
If we submit that money, you would have to basically deposit that money in your account,
But
And
we
then-
don't have rights to our account.
no, in your account,
Oh, but we don't want to, oh,
in your personal account, and then write it back as a donation. So it's not income towards you because you took the money in and you're turning around and writing it back as a donation. There is no income towards you.
Or if you didn't want to run it through your account, you could go get a bank check.
Oh,
And
okay.
you could have all the
Okay.
information right on there you'd need, and that would make it qualify.
okay, that works.
I'm sure you could bring it to Pat and
All
Get a money order.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Do you remember roughly how much the town contributed for the summer program last year?
I don't, Amy was more involved with the summer program.
There wasn't a huge amount. It was only one day a week, so. It was only
Roughly
like
maybe
6 or 7 weeks. so.
$1,000, I don't think, from the town itself. They just paid the salary. Everything else was by our fundraising. The trip, the ice cream, the A&W.
I know I've said this before, but thank you for all your volunteer work. Thank you all for,
Thank you.
I know it truly is volunteer, so. It's important that someone does it, so.
I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Part of the reason that this was kind of set up this way and kind of what seems like somewhat of an ad hoc way is because Roy, I don't want to speak for Roy, but there was a sense that we weren't sure that this would continue, that this would continue, that this effort would continue. But I think at this point, it has been shown, they have shown that this is going to be an ongoing thing. So I think some of the systems that are in place now were set up that way because the board was not sure that we would be having this conversation, several years, 2 years down.
later.
Right. I mean, I think throughout the decades, different things people have had ideas and a lot of motivation, and then it's petered out, but this has not petered out. So just to clarify why some of the things have been set up the way they are.
How many kids do you have that attend the summer program?
We capped it last year because we only had one volunteer, or one paid employee, so we capped it at 10. We did have a couple sign up because other kids initially signed up couldn't make it this trip, so we had a waiting list, and I think we had 12 total, but no more than 10 in attendance each day. We would love to grow that. And I think if we offered more days and we started planning earlier, because right now, this is the time when kids are enrolling in summer programs, and here we are again, we're behind the 8 ball a little bit in planning.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to increase it and take that risk of, going a little too big, but it's not going to grow if we don't.
We also had use of the town bus, the senior bus, which only sat 12, and so we kind of capped it so we could fit all of the children on that.
What were some of the things you did?
Well, we were planning on going to White Base, but the day that we were supposed to go was not a blizzard, but close to it, so that got capped. But
We took them to the library every morning for library time. We took them hiking. We took them to the beach. And they had swim lessons and fun time. Took them to A&W for lunch. Ice cream. We tried to take monies that came into us through fundraising from other town entities and sped it back into the town and gave the kids that experience.
Great.
Fly fishing
Hanging out and
lesson?
fun and
Yeah, like this.
yep,
fly fishing.
It's a good one.
we have some good ideas with other town groups, the Methodist Church and the library, and working together to come up with some more programs. Feed off each other.
Hey, Brett, just out of curiosity, have you ever done in your career the paperwork to create a nonprofit entity? Because I don't have a sense of how long that paperwork, how extensive that paperwork is.
It's, you can, basically you hire, if you're doing it's a not-for-profit corporation law, you use a service in Albany. If you need permission from a state regulator, like the Department of Education, you'd have to go and seek permission from them. And then that would be part of your application, and then you file with the Department of State Articles of Incorporation under the relevant not-for-profit corporation law section. And then it would identify where process goes, and then you just run it that way, get yourself an EIN, and start, having meetings and adopting bylaws and things like that.
You would have to have insurance, which is probably a concern.
Well, it's a concern if you have, it was one of the things we sort of discussed about that, is that if they needed insurance, they had insurance that they needed to pay their premiums each year, they could submit that as part of a budgetary request to the town, and the town could pay for that in a way. It's just, these lines are just a little cleaner. And the town could, extend its support in those kinds of the regular kind of channels. So, they need this amount of money to operate a program. It's like if we had somebody on the payroll, we need that much to pay for that, and pay the workers' comp insurance and the disability and withholding and taxes and things like that. So it's something you can quantify. We would know that they got a quote from Gordon Pratt saying we need this much for a liability policy to extend to us and our programs. Camps are weird because you get the Department of Health involved, but you just wouldn't have to do any of that stuff. So it's complicated. It takes some steps. But I think the issue, of course, and you're mentioning it as well, is it's something permanent. And no one knows exactly. My children attended Northern Light School when it was behind the old supermarket. And it was packed full of kids in 2001, 2002. and they stopped coming to Wilmington. And most of the parents were living in Saranac Lake. And so they moved it away from here to Saranac Lake because that's where those families were. So you feel the pull of where the parents want to go, where that energy is. People who've been on boards and doing all the work, their children have gone off, or suddenly the energy's not there from them. And so that school had a great deal with the town. They had an option to buy that property. It was quite robust, with lots of kids there. And it just moved away. So when you set something up permanent like that, it assumes that we won't have like the ebb and flow of the number of children we have in the community, the way, the energy of the parents, and things like that. So right now we're flexible enough that we can at least follow those in case, instead of telling these people you're stuck with this job for a while because you have the corporation.
And to that point, probably at least twice at our regular monthly meetings, I brought up that they're looking for more people to get involved, and there has not been a huge outpouring of people rushing to clamoring to.
Yes.
As Laura Bushy's told me, make sure you have a stick so you can beat away all these volunteers that are going to be rushing at you. Yep.
Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, send me whatever information, how it worked last year, what kind of money expected, if Amy can help you with that and get that to me, that's fine, because it helps me look to see what this year's budget has done with it and where we could maneuver it that way so we could.
How is the town situated? I know it's a little early, but lifeguards,
Well,
because that's part of.
can I switch to the next topic? I'm going to skip spring cleanup for right now and move to the summer season at the beach. We have interest has been coming in about signing up for lifeguards. I'd be happy to start that process again and sort of follow what last year's policy and things were like. But I definitely want the board to help me in identifying what to do and things like that, if it's okay for this year. I'm tending to try to follow exactly what we did last year, what you did as a board last year, as best I can. So that's the summer beach at the season. I think what I observed last year was the boat rental may be problematic, or it was difficult or challenging or something like that. So is there any comments on any observations from last year at the beach or previous years at the beach that we could consider now and discuss and before we move forward with getting the beach ready for the summer?
If you have people who are contacting you to apply to be lifeguards, that's great news, because going back at least the past 3 or 4 years, at least, it's been an issue. So it's been like a real struggle and problem. So that's very positive.
Your hand up.
Yeah, hey, Dan Cleves, I was the head lifeguard last summer. I loved it, and I hope to be back to do that. Regarding boat rentals, it was definitely a challenge at the beginning of the summer, but only because we didn't have someone to handle that.
Okay.
And Brennan was hired for that, but it seemed like it came along a few weeks after the lifeguarding season began. And maybe he just didn't get his application in earlier, I'm not sure, but that was a challenge because people kept asking us, the lifeguards, hey, can we rent a boat? And we were just like, we need more people here, and we're waiting for that to happen. So there was a lot of interest in boat rentals right from the get-go. In my opinion, we just didn't have enough staff because really safety of the swimmers priority over renting boats. But it was a steady thing after that, like all summer, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Going back decades in Wilmington, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember, there was always the lifeguard. There was always someone else there with the lifeguard, like a local kid or teenager who worked like raking the beach, etc. So, and I think that the idea was to have that person also handle the boat rentals. Anyone else
I
can
don't
chime
find
in?
that person lately though. Yes.
I think maybe we found it. So.
Well, I mean, we'd like to try to continue the boat rentals or just sort of ignore it and get the beach going with a sufficient number of enough paid lifeguards first. I mean, my own, for what it's worth, why the town is in the boat renting business is a question for me. If there's someone else who'd rather do it.
It originally started with the Ausable River Association and their paddling program.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
how we got involved into it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, shit to me, I'm like, how do that don't get in the boat renting business? So, I mean, but if we can make it work, that's fine. I don't know how much money it brings in. Stuff like that.
So the thing, in my opinion, first and foremost, is we definitely need lifeguards, much like Tim said. The boat program has been great over the years, but I have been told by town staff that one of our biggest challenges coming up is the boats aren't in good condition. So we need to really talk to our park staff and John to see if that is even feasible to continue based on our boat
Yeah, sorry.
condition.
Got a
Because they
picture,
were all originally donated.
yeah, I got a picture of somebody sitting out there and they sprayed the leak. You know, that darn town boat complaints department. Okay, fine. Why don't we ask the parks guys, you know, and then we can definitely move forward with getting the beach getting up and going, getting the paperwork ready. And then we'll follow up with the boat rental bit sometime later.
Darren, in the past 15 years, has there always been like, I don't know what the title would be, but lifeguards assistant, whatever that title was when we were growing up, there's always.
There's usually been 3 lifeguards is
Okay.
how we've had to work it. And then the boat person, depending on who that person would fill in if there was like a, you know, because there always has to be 2 people on duty. If Dan, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
And they would fill in if like, you know, one lifeguard went to the bathroom or whatever, they would at least come over and stand in an extra body. There wasn't actually always somebody there for like raking the beach or things like that. It was the boat person if needed. And then that boat person's been kind of on and off throughout the years. When it first started, we had a good in them that they used to help us with people. Like, didn't they have some type of supplement, Don,
Yeah, there was
with the pay and
programs
um,
that kids could sign up for.
I don't always remember somebody there as like an attendant doing raking and whatever. We've tried to work that since we've been doing it. We've been working it in with that program where if there's nobody renting boats, they would rake and check bathrooms and things like that.
General, keeping it tidy,
Yep.
as tidy as possible.
Just so they're not sitting there when they've rented all the boats the rest of the day and now they're sitting there for 5 hours. That was kind of their job, is to tidy up. So
But it's hard getting lifeguards.
Yeah, so let's do that first.
Let's start with that.
Let's do that first. Okay. All right. So it's summer season, spring cleanup. Now, Paula. Oh, stand by.
When might applications be available for the lifeguard?
As soon as I find out where they are.
They're the same ones we use.
Yeah, but I don't know where the key to that cabinet is. I mean, I need somebody.
It should be in the file, right there by your door.
Okay. See?
soon.
They're under lock and key.
I'll keep checking.
Keep those
Tomorrow.
applications.
Okay.
Okay, so spring cleanup. Paula.
It's been a while. I think we need a spring cleanup, a Saturday morning.
Okay.
9 to noon, 10 to 2, I don't know, meet at the beach. We can have a sheet of paper designated areas. Do you want to, put out a half a mile, 2 miles? You sign up, you put your name on it, you check in, you check out.
Okay.
What do you-
On the roadside, is that what you're talking about, or is it?
It's 86 Springfield, as many roads as we can, depending on how many people show up. It used to be that there would be different businesses you would see, the church or the Kiwanis or someone takes care of this road. You don't see that anymore, or I don't think we have that.
Okay.
Do we? I don't know.
No, Kiwanis used to do it when I was on.
Or you would see different organizations.
Yes.
And put something out there in your weekly report. Let's ask every business, can you donate a person? Can you send someone?
I think back when Rarely was on the board, and Don would remember a couple of years, they did it as like the town board adopted like Springfield, and we kind of did that type of thing. But since Rayleigh's been off the board, I don't believe that has been.
Paula did it too.
Maybe it was Paul or Rayleigh, one of the two,
Rarely
yeah.
did it, Paula did it.
Yeah.
I think Paula did it,
You know, look at
Springfield,
where,
Rock
look at
Army,
the
stuff
people
like that.
that work at the mountain, you know, let's get half a dozen or quarter employees. And challenge all the businesses, we would have more than enough volunteers.
The youth center did the park last year, and we had, 10 kids and probably 5 adults.
You know, get a case of oranges or bananas or something, garbage bags, how many pennies the
Okay,
town has.
so I'm thinking along the line of what Darren was describing that Rarely and Paul used to do. From the town board point of view, we can start designating certain zones. Dates, I mean, do you have any?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Well,
And would you be volunteering to like organize that Saturday at the beach and be like, well, are you asking us to organize it? This is what I'm trying to figure out. As far as, cause
Well,
Faber just said, well, we could do Springfield.
I don't wanna be a chairman. I will certainly help with any aspect of it that I can, and I will be down there.
Mhm.
And I wanna be a cleanup person, be there to, I'm sure someone who doesn't wanna walk the roadside would be there to sign people in or say, this is where we'd like a cleanup done.
Paula, we're the youth commissioners meeting next Thursday. If you'd like to come to our meeting, I'm sure we could kind of collaborate with you and,
Sure.
and help the other team and,
Right.
yeah, work with you. Make it happen.
Yeah, I thought maybe that you could come up with a date, I don't care.
When do they usually do it?
Saturdays?
No,
You
no,
know,
no,
they-
maybe
So I
one-
think
one-
some of May,
yeah, I think,
some towns have started. I've seen a couple of Lake Placid, I don't know when they're
Lake-
doing it, but I think I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
them advertise that they're
Last
doing
year we did it on Earth Day.
Yep.
Which was good.
Lake Placid is good. Lake Placid's having its, the sports council is taking over and they're gonna do it May 5th or whatever that Saturday is, or something like that. I'll pick a date. I just, it's gonna be one of those things where,
Pick a date, make the hours.
I'm just gonna say, look, we'll have the materials ready. People wanna volunteer to help at the beach, hand out the stuff, please let me know. So that, when the day comes, there are volunteers there. And there's people who would show up and do it that way. And I'll get the bags and things like that. And the high glow pinnies or whatever the safety vests are. I don't know where to get those yet, but.
Could someone, you generally, a town employee with a pickup truck would, you would just leave your bag when it was full and have someone.
I had talked to John about this before because people have asked me if they can come get bags from the town hall to go clean something. And I said, leave them inside of the road, and John told me that that's what they should do, and they'll pick them up and bring them to the transfer station. So these are just sort of like the people who want to go out and do some spring cleaning anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the road that you are, the people who are living on the roads that are needing the cleanup, hopefully that they would participate in it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's gonna help, around your surrounding
your
area.
business.
Right. Right. I like the idea of having the businesses involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would be that far-fetched. And I think what you're thinking of is the Adopt a Highway program. And I don't think it's through the town. I think it's through the state or through county, but I know that they do advertise signage and things. I don't know as if Wilmington has ever participated in that, but it would be something kind of.
Yeah, I don't think
Why?
we have much, like with us with the Lions Club, we do Cobble Hill. I think most of them are in the Rotary, I know it's in Lake Placid and stuff like that. I don't think Wilmington really has anything in that.
No, I've seen signs for the class of 77. How many of those guys are showing up to clean up that part of Springfield? I mean, they adopted it, but, they haven't been around for a while. Okay, so, all right, I'll put my thing in. So we've done that. All right, Porta Johns. Okay, I had a call from Boyer Septic telling me that the Ausable River Association is not going to rent the porta johns that are typically at our trailheads from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And wanted to bring that to the town's attention in case we wanted to get some porta-johns to make up for the Ausable River Association's not going to do it. That's what I heard. I got a phone call about that. I'm not saying that I don't not talk to the Ausable River Association. I'm not trying to, but to me, I just think that having porta-johns at like the Flume Trailhead and things like that are important. And I would be happy to go get a quote for the season and bring it back to the board's attention to verify that that is in fact the case. I can only think of the Flume. Are there other places people think of?
Hardy Road.
Hardy Road?
There one there?
Well, there, it would be, what was the other one? I don't know if we've ever had one up there though.
Yeah, I don't think that's even in our jurisdiction.
It's always our church.
Aren't we,
Okay.
we're before that, aren't we?
Don't know.
Yeah,
for
Labor
sure.
Day, we're Columbus Day.
It's state land.
Well, you got me. I always say Memorial Day to Labor Day. Maybe it's Columbus Day. I'll ask. So then the Flume Trailhead.
I think that's the only, that and there is usually one at the, dam.
Yeah, we always rent that one.
We do that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
pay for that.
Okay.
Which one?
The one at the dam, we
Where's
apparently.
the other place we stop at? There were
That's,
two
that's
places.
John. The dam, I think we usually put one at the youth center when it wasn't open at the park.
Yeah,
No,
there
but
was
I
one
know
in
we
the back
rented,
corner.
always rent two every summer.
I think that's right.
Yeah, the bike jump area would be, isn't there
Yeah.
usually one there? Or is that the little supermarket that puts that out?
No.
I don't believe so. I know we always had one towards the
Puts
park.
one out in their parking lot.
Okay, that's the one I'm thinking of for the bike jump area.
Yeah, they pay for that one, but
It would be really handy to have one at the park.
I think there has been.
Yeah.
I
There
think so.
used to be kind of in the back little corner in the L-shaped area.
Mhm.
Where the old wooden,
I think that's where we stuck the second one
I
through
believe
when
so, too.
people brought their kids to the park. Because the beach has its own.
That's fine. So, in addition to what we typically get each year, we're going to be asked to, put some additional units at trailheads. And I'll try to obtain a quote from them for it and we can discuss it.
Can we ask DEC to put
Um,
porta johns? Or at least help pay for porta johns?
And also
It's on their trails.
also the Regional Office of Sustainable Tourism. Seems like something that they have a $4 million annual budget.
so that's where the money's coming from.
Yes.
So that'll be, that's about, it would be coming out of that fund that we.
No, that's a different pool of money.
Yeah, I understand, but they spend their money on promoting or whatever they're doing. And the money we have control over is the
Right, occupancy tax money.
the tax money that comes to us quarterly. And this one totally within that kind of permitted expenditure.
Yes.
I think the DEC puts out the boot washing stations at those areas. I think there's one at the Flume, it's the,
I don't think that's DEC.
no?
I don't think so. I think that's either the El Cebo River Association or AFIP out of King Valley because of invasive species with the rock snot and on waders.
I'm interested why they are not putting it there. How long has
I
it
don't
been
know,
putting it there?
I'm just reporting what I got the phone call about. I don't know why, if that's in fact accurate. I'm just assuming it would, what they told me on the phone was right, that she wanted to bring it to the town's attention so that we, maybe we'll pick those up for the season. I don't know. And also the DEC is just a big mystery. What I've learned at the county about the efforts of other supervisors like in Keene, for example, dealing with the DEC is never straightforward where they would accept that, oh yeah, this is our trailhead, we'll naturally pick this up. They just don't tend to respond that way.
Do they supply any in Keene at the big parking areas, DZ?
No.
So then the odds of us getting any are.
Our chewers are small.
I pay for
If
that.
the money doesn't get them worked
No.
out.
That answer's already.
We plow that parking lot. We manage that parking lot, the pull off at the Flume and across the street at the Flume. John said that we manage that. I mean, that's a courtesy. Why, I don't understand why it's such a,
It's a one-way street.
yeah, obviously.
Just like we pay for the garbage that's picked up there.
Plug your
Better,
ears.
it's all over the place.
Plug your ears.
Oh, yeah, I don't hear a thing. I took ethics training every year.
DEC doesn't like to work well with us. They,
Yes,
uh,
they're,
They like us to pay all our fines, and pay everything, but they don't like to give us stuff. No, we don't, we pay for all our fines, we pay for everything. And,
So that's that answer.
we even wanted to put we even
It
wanted
saved
to
you
put,
some time.
Yeah.
we just
no,
wanted to put
I would have bet money that would be the answer.
a meter
Sorry.
there to have people pay meters, so that they wouldn't have to put the money in the boxes like that, and they wouldn't let us put one there. They didn't want that sitting on the property, just make things easier, so.
So on 10 so never mind. Okay. So the vacancies, I've mentioned the Board of Assessment Review. Anybody wants to join these guys? There's a training that's in May 9th. We have 2 members right now. We need 3. And it's grievance day, which is the final Thursday of the month of May, and for which there is payment remuneration to be made. And I'm going to request that if anybody's interested in helping the town out for this, they would serve out the rest of the term for one of them who's not, who left?
Devin, I think.
Corn.
Oh, Devin, yeah, Devin was elected assessor.
And he already left?
Yes, he's assessor now.
Yeah, so he's not on the
Okay,
Board of
got it.
Assessment Review. So it would fill out Devon's term. If you know anybody who'd be interested in helping out, kindly let us
The
know.
terms run, what did they tell me? May? No, September to September. They run strange.
Mhm.
What does it pay?
It's $300
$300.
for
Yeah.
the grievance session.
For one day? Plus
Oh,
training.
It's more than one day that they have to sit.
No, I think it's one day that they have to sit, but then they meet on their own to go over paperwork and things like that. But there's only one grievance day that they have.
One day we sit,
Right.
but there's training that goes along with it, every after day.
And it's usually like they have afternoon hours and then evening hours.
No, it's just the assessors that meet more than one, the grievance roll.
Yes, and if there are lots of people grieving, they can extend it, but it has to conclude by June 11th.
Yeah, May 28th is when they'll be here, 10 to 2, and 6 PM to 8 PM.
The county would help out if we didn't have enough, isn't that right?
That's what I understand. They're concerned. They'll send somebody up to help us. But they want us to make an effort first.
Can you repeat that date? You said May 28th?
28th. Do you need the times again?
Yeah, please, thanks.
10 to 2, 6 to 8.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that's what it was. I never trust my own memory.
I wrote it down as you were saying it.
Thank you.
The next one is I want to discuss how to move forward with the planning board vacancies and perhaps zoning board of appeals. I'm going to suggest that 2 members of the board perhaps take this with 1 planning board member instead of us trying to create a time where we all can sit and meet with these applicants. It does, it doesn't. I'm not sitting here thinking I have to be one of the board members who sit and talk to the applicants. But we need to find a way out of getting that thing moving. Unless we could schedule, we agree on a schedule when we can all sit and meet with people. Any objection or comment on that idea?
And we already have our list, or do we still need to advertise for that?
We have the list. We'll have to follow up because we have to double check to see whether there's certainly some interest in that, but I have a list. I mean, this is one of the, first things that I was advertised for at the beginning of in January.
So you're just saying we have 2 board members and 1 member of the planning board conduct the interviews?
Yeah, because that would help us avoid the open meetings law
Mhm.
and the noticing requirements and just keep this thing sort of moving along. It could be other people, as long as it's not three board members sitting there doing the interviewing. So if there are any suggestions on how that would work, you can go ahead and email me of interest.
What are we filling?
Well, we have,
2 vacancies.
Just
right now we have the planning board. We have enough people to form a zoning board of appeals. Enough people who are interested and express their interest. So you could look at the candidates, look at the vacancy on the planning board. Right now, the planning board has, and you can look at the way the terms run. So right now, the planning board has, Tony, and you have Bill, and you have Jerry, and you have Jim, who are officially on the planning board. Pat is the alternate. Chip returns in May, and so we may want to add an extra alternate to the planning board, or if they're interested in actually sitting on the zoning board of appeals, finding out if they want to join the zoning board of appeals as a full member as opposed to being an alternate on the planning board. That's, I could give you the list and then a statement of interest and things like that. We need to talk and vet and make some decision on these, on the people who've already offered themselves up. A fair process where they get the chance to talk and get a decision made.
To me, it doesn't make sense to do it with only 2 board members there, because then the majority of the board won't even hear these interviews. So
Yeah,
they'll have no information.
I'll be honest with you. I could skip it. I mean, I don't need to listen to the applicants. If we pick 2 board members and they report back to me, then it's okay. I don't really feel like I need to listen to them and I missed something. I'll
Well,
be
then
fine.
why even do them?
Because we're a board. Okay, so I guess we'll never get much further unless we can schedule an open public meeting and go into an executive session and talk to each of these people.
Tina or Darren, do you guys have a desire to sit on such a thing? Do you have an opinion either way?
I don't have a problem with it. I guess if we have 8 people right now to interview and we're looking for a zoning board, it's fine to appoint a couple people to the planning board, but until we go to the process of switching to a 2-board system again, like there's no sense of interviewing like everybody. I mean, because we don't even know if some of these people are going to be interested in being an alternate, or if they applied just to be on the zoning board. Like, because that's what the thing was, is when we got a lot of these applications, it was to be on a zoning board. So, would any of them be even interested in being on? So we kind of, somebody's got to just take the lead and reach out to the people and be like, hey, what were you thinking? Are you even interested on being on the zoning board? Are you interested in being on the planning board? Before we get into a lot of detail, because we might dwindle the list down to 2 people anyway.
Because we gotta find out if they're still interested in the zoning board.
Right.
Are you still in the planning board? If there are only 2 of them interested in the planning board, and we only need 1 alternate on the planning board, then we need to interview those 2.
So we have 8 applicants.
I don't know. I just threw that out there as a number.
Okay. Because I was saying that math works out. We could just appoint everyone who's applied.
I don't know how many.
I just threw that out as a generic number, but I have no idea how many people applied.
We
I'm
gotta
just
go
saying
back and look at a list we
Zoning
have.
board, I think, was dissolved by a local law.
It was. So it's a
Okay,
whole
so we have
process.
to do a whole local law thing before we can appoint the zoning board.
They won't be appointed. We would know that we have enough people
to go through the
Yeah,
process,
the-
okay,
The issue, why you got rid of the zoning board of appeals is because you ran out of bodies.
right, nobody wanted to do it.
But before we even go that far, we gotta find out if they're still interested.
Yeah.
We gotta take this list, we gotta call these people and find out.
I'll do that.
Are they still
I just can't see how, we sitting as a full board, need to go through.
You give us the list, I'll be happy to
See what we got.
do the interviews if any one of the rest of you want to join me.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that either. I'm sure Tim and Laura don't either. Once we get to that point, one of us will decide who's gonna do that. But first, we just gotta find out who's interested in what.
The zoning code still has it separate, so we wouldn't need to adjust that. We just need to amend the law. How
There's a
that the,
lot that goes to the local law.
right, no, but I'm saying that the code still shows the process for each separate board.
Yeah.
It never was
Changed.
Because right now, our planning board is operating as both.
Right, no, I know, but I'm saying we wouldn't need to adjust the zoning code.
Right.
Because the law,
For that reason.
right.
Another, one more factor is if, I think we're all on the same page, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're all on the same page that we think that there should be separate boards. Everyone agrees with that.
If possible.
So, right, so if there's some faltering and not as much interest as we had thought, the zoning board can be 3 people. So we could do it like 4 people, 3 members and 1 alternate.
Yeah.
So just, it doesn't need to be 7 people, it could be 4.
No, that's fine. No, we have enough people to do what the town would hope to accomplish by getting a zoning board of appeals and a fully.
We just need to make
Membered
sure our
up,
planning board is set first.
Yeah.
Planning boards once a month, so when they need them.
So that's what we're going to do first is,
I'm gonna give you guys the list.
we're going to appoint members to the planning board first and then
Oh, yeah, we'd have to.
we're going to
But
appoint 2 new members. to the
yeah,
planning board
we
first.
can't appoint anyone until we've modified the law.
No, I mean, I'm saying
Oh.
there are in theory 2 vacancies on the planning board, 2 alternate positions that could be filled. Are we doing that first and then? Okay.
Yeah, but I'd like to interview everybody because you get the whole pool and you get suddenly, this person sounds like originally that they'd be like zoning board of appeals kind of person interested, but they, suddenly they think, this is somebody ideal to go on the planning board too. You may be, so we can't really.
You get us the list of who's interested and I'll set up the interviews someday with whoever else wants to attend.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. So we can, as a board, appoint an assessor in the absence of a new Blanche's resignation from the assessor. Fonzie is still on as an assessor, and Devin, the board has the power to appoint an assessor to fill Blanche's term. I certainly would like to advertise if somebody would like to be an assessor. I'll put it out there like that. Tim mentions justices, running for office and things. We'll try to do our can to fill these local elected positions. These are elected, and there aren't many elected positions left. And so if we want to hang on to some of these, we should, because the moment we don't have elected officials, we don't ever go back. So we'd go by the way that lots of towns have, which is they've eliminated the elected position. And they appoint somebody. And then state of New York never lets you go back to voting for a local assessor. So if we want to continue having local assessors and things like that, it's a challenge. It's not an easy job. State of New York is heavy-handed. They tell you what to do an awful lot. But for purposes of being in Wilmington and things like that, and helping out the community. What's that?
And it's expensive.
What's that?
The assessors when they get appointed like that.
Yes, they become civil servants with bigger salaries and pensions and health insurance benefits and things like that. So I will put out things like that. Anybody who knows somebody, my immediate one is Board of Assessment Review. Anybody wants to please help us out? Okay, public comment. Anybody want to talk about something?
I have a question.
Sure.
Legalities. Can a layperson, have a fundraiser to make money for an organization? I didn't think that was legal. I thought the organization themselves had to do their own fundraising under their own name.
It's not an organization, no. You're basically creating an event that you're saying you're gonna benefit for somebody. You're not, it's similar to a GoFundMe page.
They do it all the time for cancer patients and things. There's,
Well, no, they do it through GoFundMe and all that.
no, but they have benefits. They have big
Spaghetti dinners.
But generally, that's an organization, not a person. That's an organization, not a
Yeah,
person.
yeah, you're right.
So saying
Although
that,
I have seen it be a person.
but I don't know that it's legal. That's why I'm asking our attorneys.
You're talking about the youth commission, right? And
Well, yeah,
fundraising.
that's where the,
I think the
the
youth
seed was
commission,
planted in my mind that can I, as a layperson, say I'm going to have a, food sale or a raffle or whatever, and then donate it to the youth center? Is that legal? Or does the youth center, as an organization, do their own fundraising?
I don't know why it wouldn't be legal. You're an individual person. Why couldn't you raise money for an organization?
I didn't think it was legal. That's all I'm saying. I didn't think it was legal. That's why I'm asking. Who would it?
yeah, I wouldn't think it would be illegal.
You could have
Yeah, I
a
agree.
yard
I
sale
don't see why it would be
I don't-
and
illegal.
put a sign out there,
Yeah,
proceeds.
donation.
Yeah, proceeds going to whatever,
true.
yeah.
Students will raise funds, students raise funds for different things. They're, as part of like senior projects and things, they can set up a donations towards something.
Because it's all donation. If you do it as like a donation.
Right. And also, when you're having events that you put donation on it because of those legalities,
Yeah.
you have to put suggested donation.
Suggested, yeah,
And a
most
person
people do.
doesn't even have to pay a penny if they don't want to.
It's a
Yeah.
suggested
Or they
donation.
can give you $10 more than
Right.
what you're suggesting, but really, it's not a set fee. No, with suggested donation.
You can put a
So-
suggested
But that's the only
donation.
thing you do.
So
then they
maybe,
can pay
maybe
what
if
they
you,
want.
if me as a layperson, if I went to raise money for, say, the youth center or something, I could put suggested donation,
Yes.
not put prices on things. I just don't know what the legal.
I don't know if, the other thing is, I don't know if it would be a smart idea for the town board to be giving out that advice and being like, oh, it's completely legal or completely not legal.
Well, I'm asking, you
So-
have two attorneys on the town board.
I don't think it'd be smart for them to be giving out that information.
I don't,
It's lucky because
You would know better than I would.
well, it's lucky because I don't know.
Pardon?
I don't know.
Don't know. Okay, well, that's an answer,
Yep.
right?
I think it's legal. No, just joking. I don't know either, but I would think it would be legal, but I don't know for a fact.
Go right on out on that one.
That's all I was asking.
Is there anyone else like to bring something up for the board?
Zoom, putting the planning board meetings on Zoom, just reminding to keep moving forward. And also, I realize we should probably have more than one person trained how to use it.
I just got a,
Okay, good.
got a,
Yeah,
I
I
couldn't
have to
answer.
write all the steps down. It's really simple now. It's not as hard as it was when we first got it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters relating to the employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of particular persons.
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion?
No,
All in favor, aye?
I'm gonna stay in here.
No, we gotta go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for this meeting and a lot of other meetings. This was my meeting and this was a lot of other meetings. Susan had to do these other things, and then just two of us will do it. And the other person's supposed to do it. Probably 30 people. No.
This conference will now be recorded.